Sure. So the best way to build your kind of money stream is to know what your end product is and then try and use it as your book as a lead gen.
Leaders Press is a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling press with traditional distribution via Simon & Schuster. Thanks to their work, more than 500 entrepreneurs have been able to share their stories with the world, and 133 of their authors have become USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling authors in their own right. If you'd like to discover which type of book would best suit you, go to leaderspress.com/reveal. In this episode of the Leaders Get Published podcast, the Leaders Press team will discuss how authors get paid.
Welcome to the Leaders Get Published podcast. I'm Alinka Rutkovska, CEO of Leaders Press, and today here there are with me Grace and Deborah, who are leading the operations team at Leaders Press. And our topic today is how authors get paid. So, Grace, Deborah, how do authors get paid?
A great question. And there are a variety of answers to that really starts out depending on what kind of publishing the author has engaged in. We'll discuss three types today. There's the self-publishing, traditional publishing, and then hybrid publishing. And Grace, why don't you define each of those publishing types for us?
Woo woo! Thanks, Deb. Ooh, I like our little tag team. Very organized. Yes. So self-publishing is as it sounds. You publish yourself. You probably will end up hiring some individuals, professionals, for certain aspects like editing or making a cover. But mainly you'll do it yourself. You'll be your own project manager. You'll self-publish probably through Amazon, which is one of the biggest booksellers. So it probably won't get distribution in bookstores unless you are 0.1% of the population who happen to get lucky. And then there is the traditional publishing route, which is probably what we think of when we think of publishing a book, which is, your J.K. Rowling sent her manuscript to 50, 100 people. I don't think it was that many, and got rejected every time, and found it incredibly difficult till she got an agent who did get her a contract where she got a signing bonus, and then and then there is what we do, which is hybrid, which is exactly like it sounds, a bit of a hybrid of the two. So some hybrid publishers, not all, get distribution in bookstores. We fortunately are part of that category, and we do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, but fortunately you keep a lot more of your royalties. So it's kind of I think a great balance between the two.
I like to call it the best of both worlds.
Exactly. It usually is, right? When it's a hybrid, you get that good, vigorous effect. So with self-publishing, how much that you can get paid for your book all depends on how much you invest into your book. So obviously, like Grace said, you have some upfront costs. Of course, you invest your time in writing your book, but then you also probably want to pay a professional editor to make sure that your book is beautiful, free from errors, and makes sense. Then you're going to want to pay for formatting to make sure that it's lovely on the page and that it's easily readable on various e-readers. And then you can, of course, publish it yourself through various online retailers. Amazon, of course, is the biggest. I think they've cornered like 70% of the ebook market or something like that. But you can also publish your ebooks like on Barnes & Noble or Apple Books and a couple of other places. And then your book's for sale, right? So you can start earning royalties, which are paid out on various schedules according to the retailer. But what you should know is that the royalties that you earn are percentages of what you're charging for your book. So for example, on Amazon, If you charge between like 99 cents and I think $2.98 for your ebook, you're going to earn 35% of that amount that Amazon will pay to you. But if you price your book above $2.99, you can earn, I think, 70%. Now, this also depends on your country. Amazon has a variety of services where they want to be exclusive. So, for example, if you want your book to be lendable, so your readers can lend it to someone else, you have to be exclusive to Amazon. If you want your book to be in Kindle Unlimited, for example, where you get paid per page read instead of per book sold, I think you also have to be exclusive to Amazon. And depending on your country, they won't let you earn more than 35% in royalties if you're not exclusive to them. So there are a bunch of rules that you should be aware of when you're signing your book up for Amazon and its various programs and seeing how that affects your overall royalty rate. So you're earning a variable percentage on each book sale. And then, of course, you're recouping the costs of what you put into your book to self-publish. So it's not going to be until you recoup those costs before you start having some pure profits and can really look at, okay, how much am I getting paid for this book that I created and published? Do you guys have anything to add, Alinka, Grace?
So beautiful how you were walking us through this. Super comprehensive.
Hooray.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that Amazon, like, they pay out on a specific fee schedule, and they'll do it through the deposit means of your choice. I think sometimes they even just do Amazon credit. Do you know much about that, Alinka? Like, how do you get paid?
Well, it's always been bank transfers for us.
Yeah, I think you can choose the method of payout that you want. So after self-publishing, let's look at traditional publishing and how you get paid for your books over there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So many people get excited in traditional publishing by thinking about their advance. You know, you've heard of the advance. You can get a huge advance for your book. Well, you know, it really depends. Like if you're a big name, right? Or if you have a book that they're just certain is going to be out of sight, you know, everyone's going to love it, it's going to land to that Hollywood movie deal, then you might get like a really nice big advance, right? But for the majority of people, it's not going to be a huge advance. It can also depend on the strength of your agent. You know, Grace mentioned that you might need an agent to get a really good book contract with a traditional publisher. And just keep in mind that your agent will be taking a percentage, I believe, of what you get for that. Yes. So yes, the advance can wildly vary depending on who you are, you know, what they think the strength of your book will be upon release and that sort of thing. And then you should be aware of that the advance is an investment. You know, the traditional publisher is making an investment in you of how they think that your book will perform. So once your book is released and it starts earning those royalties, you're not going to get paid royalties right away because you have to earn out the advance. Since the advance is an investment, they're going to make you earn that back with your royalties before you actually start getting paid and earning royalties yourself. So that's just a good thing to keep in mind. And the percentage of royalties that you earn from a traditional publisher can also vary wildly. I think it's like 20% to 30% maybe for most, you know, most authors. But if you're really well known, if you have a lot of clout, you could negotiate that up to like 40 to 50%. But it's almost always.
I've heard we're talking about like 7%.
From 7% to 30% maybe. So 30% is like the upward range of what maybe a regular person could get, and that's probably
not all deals are, you know, made public or can be even talked about.
It's very difficult to gauge, I think. I mean, you're probably relying on a lot of anonymous data collected and just written about in various articles about the industry. So yeah, Alinka is right. It's just very difficult to determine what the average the average amount of the royalty is, but it's low, and depending on how much your advance was, it could take some time to earn that out before you start getting your royalty checks. And I have heard from some friends in the business who've been traditionally published that they're getting like royalties checks for like 2 cents. So it can be pretty ridiculous once you once you actually start getting royalties. And the royalty split is almost always going to be in the publisher's favor, since from their perspective they're taking this big risk on you, they're investing in you up front, and then of course they want to make their money back from the performance of your book once it's published. Am I missing anything, ladies? Any questions?
No, beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a very complex topic, so there's probably a lot more to discuss. Like, for example, with self-publishing, we didn't talk about your ad budget, which you probably want to have to keep your book trending, to keep your book in the forefront, and make those sales, which of course is going to cut into your ultimate royalties / earnings. And then with traditional publishers, they don't always have an ad budget for you for most books being published. So you might have to spend some of your own money to do advertising as well. So again, like that could take some of your advance if you have any left. And that's an investment that you have to make personally. So still cuts into your book's profits. Yeah, but now we come to hybrid publishing, which is the exciting space. If you're trying to build a business that can support you and build a funnel that can actually make you like a serious profit, this is a good way to do it. And I'm going to let one of you ladies talk a little more and tell us more about the hybrid space and how our listeners can use that to build a strong money stream.
Go, Grace.
Oh, sure. So the best way to build your kind of money stream is to know what your end product is and then try and use it as your book as a lead gen. I mean, it works manyfold. So it will establish your reputation, your professional standing. Would you rather go with a professional who has a good standing in their area, or go with the professional who has a good standing and has written an amazing book on the subject and is a subject matter expert? So it helps from that point of view. But what we really like to do is we help people come up with a sales incentive, and then that's like kind of a giveaway, it can be as simple as a checklist that's useful for you, or it could be something more involved. I know Deborah had a really beautiful one. You had to kind of make your own bookmark for a kid's book before.
Yeah, I took the cover art from a author I worked with's book, and I turned it into a do-it-yourself bookmark activity for kids. The book was oriented towards children, so I just did a nice page layout. It had like little lines to show where to cut and directions on like how to laminate it and add a ribbon if they wanted to. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it. As a tiny side note, being distracted by children, but I was at the gym yesterday and I have a pink lock on my locker, and this little kid was obsessed with it. She just wouldn't leave it alone. I ended up giving it to her for a little bit to play with.
Adorable.
So it can be as varied as a bookmark, but yeah, come with some kind of giveaway that would incentivize your readers, and then use that to gather their email addresses. Really easy to do. Set up a landing page and then set up something that captures it behind it. It can be your usual MailChimps or whatnot, or any kind of auto responder or mass kind of mailing tool. So do that, and then when you have that, then come up with a really great email copy subject line, and give them your offer, whatever that is. A lot of our authors kind of do business coaching, and that makes a lot of sense. Like they'll have a book on business coaching, and then they'll be like, oh, this is my course. Like maybe you'll have a pre-recorded course because you don't want to give an individual training to everyone, but maybe you would like to give an individual training. or some of our authors have kind of business programs that will really help your business run efficiently. And again, it's just a really great lead gen tool, I would say.
I agree. And especially, so we've had some authors who really want to get into the speaking circuit, right? And it's ideal to have a book for the speaking circuit. So you go to your speaking engagements, you have tons of copies of your book, you put them in the back of the room, and then you're making sales. And especially nice if you can buy your book at the production cost, right? And then you can price it however you want. And then that's pure profits that you're making off of your books, in addition to booking more speaking engagements, or maybe even getting some private clients if you have a consulting business that you're building up, or a coaching business that you're building up. So that's another great avenue for building funds off of your book.
Yeah, and we're looking at it from a publisher's or author's point of view. But if you turn it around and you think about it from an entrepreneur's point of view, and you already have a business, then it really makes sense to have a book, because you're not even so much interested in those royalties that you so beautifully explained, Deborah. You're really interested in the extra business that's going to come in from the book being out there. And that's the way I like to think about getting paid as an author. So yes, royalties, but the majority, whenever you have a business, whenever you have a funnel, the majority of the revenue from the book is going to come on the back end from that, within the funnel. And so what do you need to have? It can be whatever business you have. Online works really well. It can be consulting, can be one-on-one coaching. It can be, any type of digital marketing. It can also be something offline, and then you can market your book to people in your area. Like the various social networks allow you to target in a geographical area, so you can absolutely do that. And I think that's really fascinating. Just to give you a story, Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan wrote the book Who Not How, among others, and the way they are collaborating is Ben, who is the writer, and wrote the book based on Dan's ideas. The way they're splitting up the revenue is Ben gets all of the royalties in advance. He gets all the money coming in from the book, in the traditional point of view. So what's in it for Dan? Because it's his ideas. Well, in the book, they are basically talking about the ideas that can further be developed in Dan's program. And so whenever there are people who sign up based on what they read in the book, they sign up for his program, that's Dan's revenue. So he is so invested in the success of his book that he doesn't care about the huge advance that was given and about the royalties. The book is selling really well. For him, what is really important is, that he is able to grow his business. So this is the way I like to think about it, and that entrepreneurs think about it, and then you just add on to it. Because Grace, you mentioned the authority. So if you're charging for speaking gigs, I just spoke to a gentleman yesterday who said he was charging $2,000 per event. After he published a book, he started charging $20,000, and people were paying. So that's a pretty big, step up in your career, because you are the author. Your knowledge is on the pages of a book. People are interested in getting it. It puts you in a completely different light. So, you grow your business, you get into more people's hands and minds, and basically expand your world domination.
Exactly.
World domination.
Yeah. You want to establish yourself as a thought leader and start building that funnel, and just like Alinka said. Yeah, so these are the most prominent ways that you can get paid as an author for your book. Were there any other angles we wanted to discuss today, Alinka?
I think we've covered the basics here. There's a lot of operations stuff, as to how to orchestrate that book, sending people to your funnel, like Grace covered in a helicopter view. But if you guys listening to us are interested in that, you can reach out, and we'll definitely help you with putting that together.
Yep, we're excited to do it.
All right, so thank you so much. And you guys who are listening, you have to take the first step. The first step is get started on your book. Okay.
Thank you for listening. This has been the Leaders Get Published podcast, brought to you by Leaders Press. Don't miss another episode, and subscribe today at leaderspress.com/subscribe. And if you'd like to discover which type of book you should write, go to leaderspress.com/reveal.